All right. So I loved reading that, you're doing a lot of work with, getting calmness and stuff, and that's excellent. Um, so the walk and like the pulling and stuff like that, or like the rushing through the door kind of thing. Um, in your comment or in your question there, you put down, when I release them. So I think that might be the issue that we're having. So, and we see this all the time, folks will like get all this great stuff from their dog. They're quiet on place. They leash them up. They walk to the door. The dog sits. Everything's looking really nice. You can open the door. The dog is waiting. And then they go, yes. Or they go, okay. Or they say, let's go. And the dog rushes to the end of the leash. And that's where we want to start over. So typically, for me, the walk already elicits a lot. Because the dog knows what that means. They know that the outside represents excitement. So, for me, it's like I always want to be thinking about like not contributing to the environment, right? So that means like things that I might be doing, saying, what have you, that could, create more excitement for them, which just makes it more difficult for the dog. So, again, it's all dog dependent, but if that's what your dog is doing and, you say release. So what I'm thinking that's happening is you get to the door and you're releasing your dog to be free, right? Maybe with the verbal cue, yes, hey, we're moving now, but they're not actually free, right? We're trying to walk, they're in a working mode still. So in that moment, what I might try is when you get to the door, you've asked your dog for an SIT, that you just walk through. We just move. And the leash pressure tells them, hey, we're moving forward now. That's what's really nice about leash. Yeah, what I was saying is that the leash can do the talking, so if I do like leash pressure straight up, the dog's butt hits the ground, right? Because leash pressure up means sit. And yeah, we pair verbal cues to that, but just like leash pressure down means down. So when you're walking through the door, the forward leash pressure that your dog feels lets them know that we're still moving. But because you haven't released them or anything like that, we're just moving through, it can keep them in that working mindset. And typically when we address that, just like, hey, don't say nothing, just go through, that usually helps to clear things up. And maybe you have to might go back and forth a few times, right? You want to paint the picture for your dog, so it's like you might just rep that out. We get to the door, sit, good, walk through, turn around, come back, right? And just rinse and repeat that a few times, before actually going out on your walk, because your dog could. But I also think this might maybe highlight something else too, which is like we don't need to necessarily release our dogs when giving them new commands or something like that. Something that we'll do all the time here is, especially when it comes to like plays, for example, we could like recall the dog to us, sit, good, right? And then they're sitting in front of me, and then I'll go place, and then they move to place. Then I say good, then I tell them down, and then I might recall them again to the next board. And then I might yes them off of that or something, right? So I don't need to be like sit, and then yes, and then place, and then yes, and then here, okay? Because they can send some mixed messages as to like maybe what I might be looking for from them in that moment. So yeah, I would just walk through the threshold, see what you get. Maybe again, rep it a few times just so you're like painting the picture for your dog. And I think that